The blizzard on Vesara 9 was the kind that erased entire horizons. Snow didn't fall here, it whipped sideways in silver blades, stinging like 1,000 tiny knives. Sergeant Elias Ward pressed a hand to the visor of his cracked helmet, staring through the white abyss. His suit heaters were failing. His squad was gone. His shuttle was buried under meters of ice. But he wasn't done. Not yet. A faint cry had led him here, thin, desperate, and unlike anything human. Elias staggered forward, boots sinking deep. The wind howled like a living beast, but the cry came again, closer this time. He followed it into a canyon of ice boulders shaped like broken teeth. There, huddled under a collapsed crystalline arch, were 3 small figures shivering violently. Alien, yes. But children. They had bioluminescent spots dimmed to near gray, translucent skin turning dull from cold, and long antennae curled tight against their heads in fear. Their clothes were ragged thermal wraps, barely more than fabric scraps. They looked at him with huge reflective eyes that asked the same question every species asked in the face of death. Are you here to help? Elias turned off the safeties on his rifle, not to threaten, but to melt the ice blocking his path. A burst of superheated plasma carved a doorway. He stepped through, kneeling slowly so he wouldn't frighten them. It's okay, he said, though they couldn't understand his language. You're safe. The smallest girl, barely up to his waist, reached out a trembling hand. Her fingers were thin and delicate, ending in glass-like nails. When her skin brushed his glove, he felt how cold she truly was, colder than any living being should be. The oldest girl, maybe 12 in human years, spoke weakly, her voice cracking. A language Elias couldn't decipher. She was trying to explain something. Trying to warn him. He didn't need a translator to know what she meant. They didn't have long. Elias glanced at his suit readings. Battery at 3%. Heaters at 12% output and dropping. If he shared heat, his suit would shut down even faster. But if he didn't. The girls' tiny bodies shook harder. Their breaths came in shallow, sharp gasps. They wouldn't survive 10 more minutes. Elias exhaled once, hard, making the decision the way soldiers always had, fast, simple, final. He unclipped his chest plate, exposing the thermal lining. Warm air bled out instantly. The storm stole what little heat he had left. Come here, he murmured. He held out the inside of his suit. The oldest girl hesitated. The younger two looked at her, confused and terrified. Then, with a brave, trembling nod, she crawled forward and pressed against him. The other two followed, curling their freezing bodies into the warmth of his chest lining, under his arms, against his ribs. Their shivers slowed. They clung to him like fragile fireflies. Elias sealed the suit as best he could around them, kneeling to shield them from the wind with his own body. Stay awake, he whispered to them. Stay with me. His heaters worked overtime. His battery died twice as fast. His faceplate frosted from the inside. He was losing feeling in his fingers. But the little glowing spots on their skin brightened. They were warming. They were living. Yet as the minutes crawled by, his own strength drained with them. He felt heavy. Slow. His heartbeat thundered sluggishly against his ribs. His vision tunneled. The eldest girl noticed. She looked up at him with those wide reflective eyes, realizing what he was doing, what he was giving up. Her antennae drooped in guilt. She whispered something soft. A blessing? A plea? He didn't know. But he patted her head gently. It's all right, he breathed. Just, don't let go. His suit systems finally died. All of them. Lights out, heat gone, oxygen mix dropping into the red. Darkness pressed in. The wind grew louder. And Elias Ward, human soldier of the 173rd Interstellar Rescue Battalion, slumped forward in the snow, still sheltering the alien girls with his last scrap of warmth. The storm ended several hours later. It wasn't mercy, it was coincidence. But sometimes the galaxy turns small coincidences into miracles. A veteran search party found them at dawn, 3 alien girls huddled together beneath a collapsed ice arch, alive, and a human soldier frozen around them like a protective shell. When they pried his arms away, the girls screamed. They thought he had died saving them. They weren't wrong. Except when medics scanned him, they found faint flickers of cardiac activity. So faint they were almost noise. His body temperature was catastrophically low, but humans, strange, resilient humans, had a habit of clinging to life with impossible grip. The girls refused to leave his side during the emergency transport. They clung to his hands, and for the first time since the storm, his vitals rose. Later, medics would swear the data was wrong, that emotional contact couldn't stabilize a dying human across species. But every time the girls touched him, his heart fought harder. For them, he held on. For them, he lived. When Elias finally woke, it was in a warm medical dome with heated glass walls glowing pale blue. 3 familiar faces hovered above him, worried, hopeful, relieved. The eldest girl pressed her forehead gently to his. It was a veteran gesture of deep gratitude, one only given to family or sacred protectors. "Soul dear," she tried, in halting human words, her voice still weak. "You saved us." Elias blinked, throat dry. "Good, you're okay." The smallest one threw herself onto his chest with a soft squeak, glowing brightly, antennae fluttering in joy. The middle one grabbed his hand, refusing to let go. He didn't mind. He smiled, tired but genuine. "I'm glad," he whispered. "I'm really glad." What he didn't know, what he couldn't have known, was that the rescue had been broadcast across the veteran communication networks. Soldiers didn't risk their lives for aliens. Not usually. Not here. Not in this tense corner of the galaxy. But he did. And the footage of a lone human shielding 3 freezing alien children, giving up his heat, his safety, his life, spread like wildfire across dozens of worlds. Some cried. Some argued. Some declared him a hero. Many simply stared, silent, seeing something they had forgotten existed. Compassion without conditions. Protectiveness without reward. Sacrifice without hesitation. One moment in a storm changed diplomatic tensions, shifted military policies, and forced planetary councils to reconsider what enemy even meant. The galaxy hadn't been shocked because a soldier survived. It was shocked because of what he chose. 2 days later, when Elias was finally strong enough to stand, the veteran matriarch herself visited his medical dome. She was tall, translucent like carved pearl, wearing robes woven with soft light. The 3 girls stood before her, hands linked with Elias's. The matriarch spoke through a translator sphere. "Human soldier. You gave your warmth, your life, and your future to protect our young. On Visara, such an act is considered sacred. We owe you a debt beyond measure." Elias scratched his neck awkwardly. Anyone would have done it. "No," the matriarch replied gently. "Anyone did not. You did." She bowed, something no veteran leader had ever done to an offworlder. Then she declared something unexpected. "These 3 young ones, whom you shielded with your very heartbeat, have chosen you as their life-binder. This is an ancient title. It means they see you not as rescuer but as family." The eldest girl squeezed his hand, nodding shyly. Family. Elias swallowed hard. He had lost his own family years ago on a different frozen world. But here, in this alien dome filled with soft blue light, 3 small hands held his future. He knelt slowly, meeting their bright, hopeful eyes. "If you want me in your life," he said softly, "then you're in mine." Their joyful cries echoed through the dome. And the matriarch's smile was warm enough to melt any storm. Years later, historians would list the storm of Visara 9 as the moment the human-Veseran alliance truly began. Children learned the story in schools. Diplomats cited it during treaties. And statues were built, not of a soldier fighting an enemy, but of a man warming 3 alien girls with his last heat. A reminder to the entire galaxy. Sometimes the greatest force in the end